Picture this. You've just finished planting your garden. You've dug the holes, you've put the plants in the ground, you've watered everything in, and you step back to admire your work. And what do you see? A whole lot of empty space. A whole lot of bare soil. A whole lot of nothing yet. And that feeling, that frustration of a garden that looks sparse and unfinished, is one of the most common complaints I hear from gardeners at every single level of experience. But here's the truth that changes everything. The right plants fix that problem fast. Not in 5 years, not in 3 years. We're talking about perennials that hit the ground running, spread with purpose, fill in gaps aggressively, and turn a bare, disappointing garden bed into something lush, full, and breathtaking, sometimes within a single growing season. And the beauty of perennials? You plant them once. They come back year after year, bigger and better and fuller every single time. No replanting, no starting over, just growth. Reliable, beautiful, unstoppable growth that compounds on itself season after season. Today we are going through 10 of the absolute best perennials for filling your garden fast. These are plants that spread, multiply, and establish quickly. Plants that do the heavy lifting so you don't have to. Whether you're starting a brand new garden bed from scratch or trying to fill in gaps in an existing one, by the end of this video, you are going to have a clear and confident plan for making your garden look full, lush, and absolutely gorgeous in record time. Before we jump in, if you are new to this channel, welcome! We are so glad you found us. We talk about everything gardening right here, every single week, and we would love to have you as a permanent part of this community. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new video. And if this content is helpful to you today, a thumbs up takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference in helping other gardeners discover this channel. We truly appreciate every single one of you. Okay, let's get into it. Let's take a moment to talk about why so many gardens end up looking sparse and underwhelming, and why choosing the right perennials from the start is one of the most powerful decisions you can make as a gardener. The number one mistake people make when planting a new garden is choosing plants based purely on how they look in the nursery pot. That little 4-inch pot looks beautiful. The flower is open, the color is vibrant. You bring it home, plant it, and then it just sits there for weeks, sometimes for an entire season. Some plants are notoriously slow to establish and spread, and if your entire garden is filled with slow growers, you could be waiting years before your beds look the way you imagined them. The solution is intentional plant selection. By choosing fast-spreading, vigorous perennials that are known for their ability to fill space quickly, you essentially fast-forward the process. You compress years of garden development into a single season. And because perennials return every year and typically spread further with each passing season, the investment you make in the ground this year pays dividends for the rest of your gardening life. Now, a quick and important note before we dive into the list. Fast spreading is a quality you want to manage wisely. Some of today's plants are enthusiastic spreaders, and in the wrong situation or without a little oversight, they can become more than you bargained for. I'll flag any plants where this is relevant and give you the information you need to keep things beautiful and under control. Knowledge is the difference between a plant being a blessing and a plant being a headache. And I want today to be nothing but blessings for your garden. All right, let's count down all 10, starting with number 1. Item number 1, Black-Eyed Susan. Black-Eyed Susan, the cheerful, unstoppable garden workhorse. Kicking off our list is one of the most beloved and recognizable wildflowers in all of North American gardening, the black-eyed Susan. Botanical name, Rudbeckia hirta, and if you've never grown this plant before, you are in for a genuine treat because few perennials combine ease, speed, beauty, and wildlife value the way black-eyed Susan does. The flowers are iconic, bright golden yellow petals surrounding a rich, dark brown center cone that gives the plant its name. They bloom from midsummer all the way through fall, which makes them one of the longest blooming perennials you can grow. And they don't just bloom, they bloom prolifically. A single established clump of black-eyed Susans can produce dozens of flowers simultaneously, creating a bold, cheerful mass of color that lights up any garden bed. Now let's talk about why it earns its spot on this list: the spreading. Black-eyed Susan spreads in two ways. First, through self-seeding. It produces abundant seeds that drop and germinate freely, filling in surrounding areas with new plants year after year. Second, through clump expansion. The root mass grows larger each season, producing more and more stems and flowers from the same plant. The combined effect is a plant that gradually but steadily colonizes your garden bed in the most beautiful way possible. Black-eyed Susan grows best in USDA zones 3 through 9, which covers an enormous range. It thrives in full sun, tolerates poor and dry soils remarkably well, and once established, it is genuinely one of the most drought-tolerant perennials you can grow. It's also a magnet for pollinators. Bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects absolutely flock to the flowers all season long. And in fall and winter, the seed heads provide food for goldfinches and other seed-eating birds. The key caution is the self-seeding. In very favorable conditions, Black-eyed Susan can spread more aggressively than you might want. The easy solution is to deadhead spent flowers before they set seed if you want to control the spread. Or simply let them go and enjoy the naturalistic, meadow-like effect as they fill in your space. Item number 2, creeping phlox. Creeping phlox, the flowering carpet that covers ground fast. Number 2 on our list is a plant that will genuinely stop people in their tracks when it's in full bloom. Creeping phlox, botanical name Phlox subulata. If you've ever seen a garden slope or rock wall completely covered in a dense carpet of tiny, brilliant flowers in spring, pink, purple, white, or magenta, that was almost certainly creeping phlox doing what it does best. Creeping phlox is a low-growing, mat-forming perennial that spreads outward along the ground, rooting as it goes and creating a dense, weed-suppressing carpet of evergreen foliage that looks great even when it's not in bloom. In spring, usually from March through May depending on your location, it erupts into a stunning mass of color so dense that you can barely see the foliage beneath. It is one of the most spectacular spring blooming spectacles in the entire perennial world. In terms of spreading speed, creeping phlox grows outward about 2 feet per year once established. A single plant bought at a nursery will, within 3 to 4 seasons, cover a substantial area of ground. Plant several together, and you'll have a full, seamless carpet in just a couple of years. It's particularly outstanding for slopes, banks, rock gardens, and the front edges of garden borders where you want something that cascades beautifully and covers ground reliably. Creeping phlox thrives in zones 3 through 9, loves full sun, and demands well-drained soil above all else. It does not like to sit in wet or poorly drained ground, so if your soil is heavy clay, amend it well before planting or choose a raised or sloped location. After blooming, give it a light shearing. Cut it back by about 1/3, and it will reward you with a fresh flush of compact, dense growth through the rest of the season. There are no serious cautions with creeping phlox beyond the drainage requirement. It's not invasive, it's not aggressive to the point of being problematic, and it plays very well with other plants. It's simply a beautiful, fast-spreading, low-maintenance ground-covering perennial that belongs in almost every garden. Item number 3, daylily. Daylily, the toughest, fastest-spreading beauty in the game. Number 3 is a plant that truly needs no introduction, but deserves a thorough one anyway because its reputation for toughness and speed is 100% earned. The daylily, botanical name Hemerocallis, is one of the most widely grown perennials in the entire world, and once you understand what it's capable of, it's not hard to see why. Daylilies are not technically true lilies. They belong to their own genus entirely, but they produce flowers of extraordinary beauty in an almost unbelievable range of colors. We're talking yellow, orange, red, pink, purple, cream, bicolors, ruffled edges, spider forms. The variety is genuinely staggering. There are over 80,000 registered daylily cultivars in existence. Whatever color palette your garden calls for, there is almost certainly a daylily variety that fits it perfectly. Each individual flower lasts only one day, hence the name daylily, but each plant produces so many buds that the blooming period can stretch for weeks. And with careful variety selection, planting early, mid, and late season bloomers, you can have daylilies in flower from late spring all the way through early fall. Now here's why daylilies are on this fast-filling list. They multiply fast, really fast. A single daylily fan, that's one individual plant division, will form a clump of multiple fans within one season. By season 2 or 3, that clump has expanded into a dense mass that can cover several square feet of ground. And every few years, you can divide those clumps and multiply your planting even further, essentially getting free plants from the ones you already have. Daylilies grow in zones 3 through 9, tolerate full sun to partial shade, adapt to a wide range of soil types, and are extraordinarily drought tolerant once established. They're also virtually pest and disease-free, which is rare for any plant. The one caution worth mentioning: some older daylily varieties, particularly the common orange roadside daylily, Hemerocallis fulva, are vigorous spreaders that can become quite aggressive. Named cultivars from reputable nurseries are generally better behaved. Also worth knowing, daylilies are toxic to cats, so if you have feline friends who spend time in the garden, this is important to be aware of. Item number 4, catmint. Catmint, the lavender-like spreader that never quits. Number 4 is a plant that doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves, but among experienced gardeners, it has a devoted and passionate following. Catmint, botanical name, Nepeta. If you love the look of lavender but struggle to grow it in your climate, catmint is very likely your answer. It has that same soft, billowy, blue-purple flowering quality, but it's tougher, faster, more adaptable, and easier to grow than lavender in most situations. Catmint produces long, arching stems covered in small, tubular flowers in shades of lavender blue, violet, and soft purple, blooming from late spring through early summer. And here's the trick that experienced gardeners know. If you cut it back hard after that first flush of bloom, shearing it back by about half, it will re-bloom in late summer with almost as much vigor as the first time. That gives you 2 spectacular flushes of color in a single season, which is genuinely exceptional value from one plant. The foliage is equally appealing. Small, gray-green, softly textured leaves with a pleasant minty fragrance when brushed or crushed. That fragrance, by the way, is what gives it the catmint name. Cats are attracted to it much like catnip, though the effect is generally milder. In terms of filling the garden, catmint forms large, spreading clumps that get bigger each season. The popular variety Walker's Low, which despite its name grows 24 to 36 inches tall, can spread 3 to 4 feet wide at maturity, and creates a magnificent, flowing mass of color that looks stunning at the front or middle of a border. Plant several together and they'll fill a substantial section of bed in just 2 to 3 seasons. Catmint thrives in zones 3 through 8, demands full sun, and absolutely must have well-drained soil. It's highly drought-tolerant once established and is one of the most deer-resistant perennials you can grow, which is a significant advantage in many gardens. Pollinators, especially bumblebees, are absolutely obsessed with catmint flowers. The main caution, as mentioned, cats may be drawn to it and can occasionally roll on or damage plants. And in very rich, moist soils, it can get floppy and require staking, so lean soil and excellent drainage will keep it upright and beautiful. Item number 5. Coneflower, Echinacea. Coneflower, the native powerhouse that self-seeds beautifully. Halfway through our list and we are hitting our stride with number 5. Coneflower, botanical name, Echinacea. This is one of the true superstars of the perennial world, beloved by gardeners, pollinators, and birds alike, and it earns every bit of the admiration it receives. Native to North America, Echinacea purpurea is one of the most adaptable and resilient perennials you can grow. The flowers are large and showy, typically featuring a prominent, spiky central cone surrounded by swept-back petals in shades of purple-pink, though modern breeding has expanded the color range dramatically to include white, yellow, orange, red, coral, and even green. There is a coneflower for every garden palette. Coneflowers bloom from midsummer through fall and hold up beautifully even in heat and humidity. The blooms are magnets for butterflies, bees, and other pollinators during the growing season. And when you leave the seed heads standing through fall and winter, they become an important food source for goldfinches and other birds. From a wildlife garden perspective, coneflower is one of the most valuable plants you can grow. The reason coneflower makes our fast-filling list is its enthusiastic self-seeding. In conditions it likes, Echinacea drops seed freely and new seedlings come up readily the following season. A planting of 3 or 5 coneflowers can, within 3 to 4 years, expand into a generous colony of dozens of plants, filling in beautifully and creating a naturalistic, meadow-inspired effect that looks both intentional and wildly beautiful. Coneflowers grow in zones 3 through 9, thrive in full sun, and prefer well-drained soils. They are exceptionally drought-tolerant once established, and actually tend to perform better in lean soils than in rich ones. Too much fertilizer produces lush foliage at the expense of flowers. The caution here is managing the self-seeding. If you want it to spread, leave the seed heads. If you want more control, deadhead after bloom. It's a simple choice that puts you completely in control of how far and how fast they spread. Item number 6, lamb's ear. Lamb's ear, the silver spreader that fills gaps like magic. Number 6 is one of the most tactily satisfying plants in all of gardening. Lamb's ear, botanical name, Stachys byzantina. Named for the soft, velvety, silver-gray leaves that feel remarkably like the ear of a lamb when you touch them, this is a plant that brings something truly unique to the garden. Texture, color contrast, and fast ground-covering ability, all in one distinctive package. Lamb's ear is primarily a foliage plant, though it does produce tall spikes of small purple-pink flowers in early summer that pollinators find very attractive. But it's the foliage that steals the show. Those thick, woolly, silver leaves create a stunning contrast against green plants, and they seem to glow in the garden, especially in the golden light of late afternoon. Landscape designers use lamb's ear constantly as a contrast plant and a border edger because it has that rare ability to make everything planted near it look better. In terms of spreading, Lamb's ear forms dense mats of foliage that expand steadily outward each season. It also self-seeds in favorable conditions, sending new plants up between existing ones and gradually filling in spaces in a way that looks natural and intentional. A few plants placed at the front of a border can, within 2 to 3 seasons, create a continuous silver ribbon of foliage that edges the entire bed beautifully. Lamb's ear grows in zones 4 through 8, thrives in full sun, and demands well-drained soil above all else. It is exceptionally drought tolerant. In fact, it prefers dry conditions and is one of the few plants that genuinely thrives on neglect. Overwatering and poor drainage are the primary ways to kill it. The caution is humidity. In hot, humid summer conditions, particularly in the southeastern United States, lamb's ear can suffer from crown rot, and the foliage can melt out in the center of the clump. If you live in a humid climate, look for the variety Helene von Stein, also sold as big ears, which has much better heat and humidity tolerance than the standard species. Item number 7. Sedum, stonecrop. Sedum, the succulent spreader for sunny, dry spots. Number 7 on our list is a plant that thrives where many others give up. Sedum, also known as stonecrop. This is a large and diverse genus with varieties suited to everything from ground cover to upright border plants. And what unites them all is an extraordinary tolerance for heat, drought, and poor soils that makes them invaluable in situations where other perennials struggle. For fast garden filling, the low-growing, creeping sedum varieties are your best friends. Varieties like Sedum spurium, Sedum kamschaticum, and Sedum rupestre spread rapidly across the soil surface, rooting as they go and creating dense, weed-suppressing mats of succulent foliage that look attractive in every season. Many are semi-evergreen or fully evergreen, giving you year-round coverage and color. Creeping sedums produce cheerful, starry flowers in yellow, pink, red, or white in summer, and their foliage comes in a remarkable range of colors: green, blue-gray, bronze, burgundy, and variegated forms. The visual interest they provide, even without flowers, is genuinely impressive. In terms of speed, creeping sedums are among the fastest ground-covering perennials available. In good conditions, they can spread 12 to 18 inches per year, and once established, they are virtually indestructible. They tolerate full sun, reflected heat, thin, rocky soils, and extended drought periods that would kill most other plants outright. Sedum thrives in zones 3 through 9, depending on variety, and truly excels in full sun with excellent drainage. It's a perfect choice for sunny slopes, rock gardens, between stepping stones, and any area where you need ground coverage but conditions are too harsh for more delicate plants. The main caution: sedum does not tolerate wet, poorly drained soil. If water pools in an area after rain, sedum is not the right plant for that spot. Also, the taller, upright varieties like Sedum autumn joy behave differently from the creeping types. They form clumps rather than spreading mats, so make sure you're selecting the right type for your intended purpose. Item number 8. Salvia. Salvia, the pollinator magnet that multiplies season after season. Number 8 is a plant that belongs in virtually every garden on the planet. Salvia, specifically the perennial varieties like Salvia nemorosa, Salvia ex sylvestris, and Salvia verticillata. These are the garden salvias, not to be confused with culinary sage, and they are among the most reliable, most beautiful, and most wildlife-friendly perennials available to gardeners in temperate climates. Perennial salvias produce tall, upright spikes of tubular flowers in deep purple, violet, blue, pink, and white that bloom from late spring through early summer. Like catmint, they respond beautifully to being cut back after the first flush of bloom. Shear them by about a third after flowering, and they'll typically rebloom in late summer, giving you 2 seasons of color in one. The flowers are extraordinary for pollinators, attracting bumblebees, honeybees, hummingbirds, and butterflies in remarkable numbers. For garden filling, perennial salvias form expanding clumps that get notably larger each season. Popular varieties like Caradonna, Maynite, and East Friesland spread steadily to form substantial clumps within 2 to 3 seasons and can also be divided every few years to multiply your planting. They work beautifully as mid-border plants, creating vertical structure and rich color in large drifts. Perennial salvias thrive in zones 4 through 8, demand full sun, and perform best in well-drained soils. They are highly drought-tolerant once established, deer-resistant, and virtually disease and pest-free. They are, by almost any measure, one of the most perfect perennials you can grow. The one caution worth noting is that not all salvias marketed as perennials are reliably hardy in colder climates. In zones 4 and 5, some varieties will benefit from a protective layer of mulch over winter. Check the specific hardiness rating of your chosen variety before purchasing, particularly if you garden in a colder region. Item number 9. Russian Sage. Russian Sage, the airy, fast-growing silver and purple showstopper. Number 9 is a plant that looks like it belongs in a painting. Russian Sage, botanical name Perovskia atriplycifolia, recently reclassified as Salvia yangii. This is a large, dramatic, late-season perennial that produces clouds of tiny lavender blue flowers on tall, silver-white stems from midsummer all the way through fall. It is one of the longest blooming perennials in existence, and the combination of silvery stems and soft blue-purple flowers creates a hazy, ethereal effect in the garden that is truly unlike anything else. Russian sage grows fast. From a small nursery plant, it can reach 3 to 5 feet tall and equally wide within a single growing season, creating a substantial presence in the garden almost immediately. It's one of the few perennials where you can plant it in spring and have a genuinely impressive, mature-looking plant by late summer of the same year. It spreads both by expanding its woody base and by self-seeding in favorable conditions, gradually colonizing more garden space over successive seasons. In a large border or along a fence, a row of Russian sage creates a magnificent, long-season display of color and texture that requires almost no care once established. Russian sage thrives in zones 4 through 9, demands full sun, and is extraordinarily drought-tolerant and heat-resistant. It actually performs better in poor, lean soils than in rich ones. Rich soil produces floppy, overly lush growth that may require staking. It is highly deer-resistant, largely pest and disease-free, and beloved by pollinators throughout its very long blooming season. The main caution is its need for good drainage and full sun. In shaded or wet conditions, it becomes floppy and disappointing. Also, don't be alarmed in spring when it's slow to emerge. Russian sage wakes up later than most perennials. Be patient, and it will reward you enormously through the second half of the gardening season. Item number 10. Ornamental grass, Karl Forster/blue oats. Ornamental grass, the fast-filling structural marvel. And rounding out our list at number 10 is a category that often gets overlooked in perennial garden planning, but absolutely should not: ornamental grasses. Specifically, we're highlighting 2 of the best fast-growing varieties for garden filling: Karl Forster featherweed grass, Botanical name, Calamagrostis times acutiflora, Carl Forster, and blue oatgrass. Botanical name, Helictotrichum sempervirens. Let's start with Carl Forster. This is widely considered one of the finest ornamental grasses in cultivation, and it has won the Perennial Plant of the Year award to prove it. It grows quickly into a tight, upright clump of arching green foliage topped by feathery, pinkish-bronze plumes that emerge in early summer and persist beautifully through winter, providing structure and visual interest in the garden even in the coldest months. Carl Forster reaches 4 to 5 feet tall, spreads about 2 feet wide, and grows so reliably and consistently that it's become a staple of professional landscape design worldwide. Blue oatgrass takes a different approach. It stays low and mounding, reaching only 24 to 30 inches, but its foliage is a striking, icy blue-silver color that adds intense color contrast and texture to any planting. It's evergreen in mild climates, semi-evergreen in colder ones, and fills its space quickly to create a bold, architectural mound of color. Both grasses thrive in full sun and well-drained soils. Carl Forster is hardy in zones 4 through 9. Blue oatgrass thrives in zones 4 through 8. Both are drought-tolerant once established, deer-resistant, and virtually carefree beyond a single annual cutback in late winter before new growth emerges. For garden filling, ornamental grasses are exceptional because they provide immediate visual impact even when young, grow to fill their allocated space within 1 to 2 seasons, and provide year-round structure and interest that most flowering perennials simply cannot match in the off-season. The caution with ornamental grasses is choosing the right one for your space. Some ornamental grasses, particularly running types like ribbon grass, can spread aggressively. Carl Forster and blue oatgrass are both clump-forming, well-behaved varieties that stay where you plant them and never become problematic. And there you have it, 10 incredible perennials that will fill your garden fast and keep rewarding you with beauty, wildlife value, and low-maintenance performance for years and years to come. Let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today. We started with the cheerful, self-seeding black-eyed Susan. We moved into the spectacular flowering carpet of creeping phlox. We talked about the unstoppable, endlessly versatile daylily. We covered the soft, billowing beauty of catmint. We celebrated the native powerhouse, coneflower. We appreciated the silver texture of lamb's ear. We explored the drought-defying sedum. We admired the pollinator-magnetic salvia. We were swept away by the ethereal clouds of Russian sage. And we finished strong with the structural elegance of ornamental grass. Every single one of these plants is available at most garden centers and nurseries. Every single one of them will establish and begin filling your garden within the very first season. And every single one of them will come back year after year, growing bigger and more beautiful each time, rewarding your initial investment with a lifetime of garden enjoyment. The garden you've been imagining? These are the plants that will make it real. Get out there, get them in the ground, and watch your garden transform right before your eyes. It is one of the greatest joys this hobby has to offer. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for watching this video today. Your time and your support mean everything to this channel and to this community, and we genuinely look forward to growing alongside you every single week. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps more gardeners just like you find this content. And if you are not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a single upload. We are here every week with fresh gardening content designed to help you grow a more beautiful, more productive, and more joyful garden. We will see you in the next video. Until then, happy planting.